Welcome everybody to what's going to be the first episode of my little commentary series. Before I get any clips from anybody, I wanted to do a little test episode with AZAEL here and Cryogenic in later fights. Now, we both agreed to use our most tryhard setups possible. I am using the Scavenger Curve Swords and AZAEL is using the Dragon Halberd. It's a very fearsome weapon and one that I have learned to be very wary of, as the weapon art can easily one-shot you. Now here I am running Bloodhound Step, post-nerf that is, not much like its glory days, but still plenty strong. Now I managed to escape that combo there. If I get hit by a single attack from the spin, I am pretty much done for, so I need to be very wary of what's happening. AZAEL here has whipped out Katana with Unsheath for mix-ups as well. It's a very threatening option to have, certainly, and he does end up getting me with it a couple of times throughout these fights. Now the halberd running attack and into the spin, now that is one hell of a combo, and that ends up getting me down for the count. Now in this next fight, I'm still fighting AZAEL. He's running the double Frostbite Greatswords, and I am still running the Scavenger Curve Swords. My Physic Flask, I think I want to mention that for a bit. I'm running the Opaline Bubble Tier, which post-buff is kind of like a 5th armor piece, so to speak. It is very strong, and it increases your resistances by a lot. Now you can see that AZAEL is running the old Carrion Phalanx, I think that's what it's called, the Ash of War. It's very strong if it manages to hit. Unfortunately, most players are very conditioned to be able to dodge that. Now he gets me with a poke there, and it takes away half of my health. I believe that we have agreed to be able to heal in these fights. Yes we have. We're in voice chat the entire time, so we have agreed upon certain things like that. Not all of our fights are like that for this video though. Now, I end up trying to go for some maneuvers here with the feint attack and into the running attack. Unfortunately, makes his health bar explode and he falls down for the next fight. Now, bleed is very strong. We're intentionally using very strong setups. And as for this next fight, I don't use the same setup in all fights, of course, but for this next fight, you'll see we're still running the same setup. We decided to run it back this time. My setup includes the Boiled Crab as well for the added resistance. I managed to clip him with the L1 there, and he goes for the heavy attack, misses. I go for the ravioli backflip, but I obviously get clipped by that. It's a very dumb move. My running attack misses, and here's where stuff begins to happen. He misses right under me with the little poke from the Carrion Phalanx, and I try to go for the jump attack and miss. He goes for trying to outspace me, completely clips me there, and we're still healing, of course, like we're still completely fine with that. Now Bloodhound Step is actually very dangerous to use in this area, and you'll see why in a bit. I managed to get him with a running R2, and his health bar just melts with the bleed. Now I'm assuming that he's healing again, so am I. Now I'm noticing that he's dodging all of my running R1, so if you see there, I go for a running R2 to kind of mix up the timing there. Of course, I get hit with a Frostbite, but I managed to dodge the damage clip from it, and I believe the fight ends right about here. Not quite. I managed to clip him with the bleed, but he's still going, and between the quick step and the Bloodhound Steps, we're having a very mobile fight, and I really enjoy that. If both players are using something like that, it becomes a very dynamic sort of mix-up game. However, I feel like if only one player uses that, it's kind of one-sided. That said, he goes for the backstep L1, misses, unfortunately. I love that attack. I managed to clip him with one of my L1 running attacks. Misses again. Managed to get him with the running R2 again into an L1. I unfortunately missed that running attack. And another heal. I believe that we're both out at this point. What it is, we're keeping it going, we're keeping it clean, we're keeping it outspaced, and he manages to land a Frostbite on me. Now, unfortunately, bleed curve swords are very strong, and a little bit of Frostbite isn't enough to threaten them. They can still pressure very easily. Goes for the Carrion Phalanx, doesn't manage to hit it, unfortunately. And I believe this is the exchange. Not quite. Manages to clip me twice with the great swords. Unfortunate for me. goes for the jumping attack, misses. Nearly throw myself off the cliff there, that would have been very unfortunate. I go for the jumping attack, miss. We're both very good at spacing each other out, it would seem. It's a very clever footsies game that we're playing, not to toot my own horn of course. I go for the L1 there, completely miss. Now, we're both kind of down to the ropes here. We're trying to see who will get each other first, and it turns out to be me. GG AZAEL, that was a really good fight. Now this next fight against AZAEL has him running the Dragon Halberd again. I'm still on the same setup of course, not really changing it just yet. I believe this is a shorter fight. I managed to go for the Ravioli blood instead there. Didn't come to much since the active hitbox of the skill from the Dragon Halberd is still pretty good. Goes for the unsheath combo, misses completely. And we're still pressuring each other on this little outspacing game. I'm waiting for him to commit to something. Unfortunately, he's actually kind of good at the game, so he's not really throwing things out unless I go for something. So here my mindset is, I'm going to just throw out attacks that are quick to recover from, and I'm going to bait out an attack. See, I managed to dodge the Dragon Halberd spin. Unfortunately for me, it manages to let him recover way before I am able to punish him. Unfortunately for me, I'm a fucking moron and I throw myself off the edge. GG AZAEL, I'm sorry you had to witness that. For the next fight, I believe this is Cryo and AZAEL fighting. I try to get a good vantage here. I believe this is a pretty short fight. Yep, Cryo just completely explodes from one Dragon Halberd. That's what I mean, it's a pretty powerful weapon and you have to be very scared of it. Now, here's another fight against AZAEL. He's running the, I believe that's some more curved swords. That would be right, that's double some more curved swords. Very scary setup. I go for the vacuum slash, completely get caught in the storm. I try to switch it up with the steel sling in order to be able to switch out my curved swords. Still not the fastest at swapping stuff through the menu, but at least I can do it. Now, here's a very stupid move that I go for that ends up getting me killed. I try to go for a raw vacuum slice, and if there's one thing you know about vacuum slice, it's a very bad weapon art and it will get you killed if you try to use it like that. GG AZAEL, next fight I believe would be me against Cryo. Now Cryo is using a very interesting setup. I asked him to bring the most broken thing he could think of, and he brought Bloodflame Talons into Marai's Executioner Sword weapon art. If it manages to hit, it is a true combo as you can see there. Unfortunately, his connection seems to be less than optimal and I managed to escape out of it. I'm running Poison Mist for this invasion. Now Poison Mist is actually an interesting Ash of War that I really come to love from what I've been using it. So the thing about it is, it has a very strong attack that the mist actually comes out of. It buffs your weapon and leaves mist behind. Now the attack from the Poison Mist, you'll see me trade with him in a bit using it, is actually very strong. And you can get some really interesting setups with it. For example, you can run it on a spear and get a super wide sweeping attack with a lot of range for pretty much no FP cost or commitment whatsoever. Really useful for outspacing decks. Now I'm keeping in poison throughout this fight, as you can tell. I managed to get him with the attack there. You can see that it hits for about 800 damage. And I know that the poison, for Cryo at least, he'll try to heal it. We've fought a few times before, so I kind of know his MO by now. The only problem with that is it adds unnecessary pressure, and I'm able to keep him on the back foot here, so to speak. By consistently poisoning him, I managed to hit him with that, even though it doesn't actually release the mist. It still buffs my weapon and manages to clip him. Excellent trade there as well on the jumping attack. Unfortunately, we're trading too much and I seem to be winning these trades, mainly due to the poison and bleed pressure that I'm applying. Now if he manages to land Bloodflame Talons on me, that would be me dead. However, Bloodflame Talons does have that startup. Now I'm here on the ropes, on the back foot so to speak. I'm almost dead, I'm almost dying. Any trade to go for here would be bold. Unfortunately, I am a fucking madman, and I definitely go for a trade here if I remember correctly. Not the smartest move, don't do this at home kids. This is going to get you killed, it's going to get me killed if I ever try it again. But I am a fucking god at this game, so there we go. I'm going to go for the trade, I believe, right about now. Price throwing out some little ravioli steps there, pretty cute. And I believe I am going to go for a trade right here. Unfortunately, I am very scared to trade with that, as I am on a literal magic pixel of health. He takes a latent hit. Unfortunately, it seems our connection is not the best. I managed to dodge that just enough to not go for a trade there and die as a result. I must have been thinking of a different one. GG Cryo. And here I'm fighting, I believe this is AZAEL again. He's running the double halberd setup. Very strong. I'm pressuring him a little bit with the bestial slaying. It's a very strong option because it breaks poise like nothing else. Honestly, it's a little bit busted, I'd say. I managed to clip him with a running attack a little bit there. Now 4 hits is nothing to scoff at. He unfortunately jumps right into the poison mist and manages to get himself poisoned. Very strong option when you know your opponent is going to close in. Especially with players that like to outspace you. If you leave the poison cloud where you know they're going to be once you commit, the very animation from the poison mist is going to cause them to want to rush you, and they'll usually get themselves into the cloud for you. This of course is against opponents that you know are going to do that. Now Loretta Slash, I don't think he managed to hit me with it, but it's good to know that it's there. Now once he throws it out, pretty much the surprise factor from it is gone, and I am not afraid of it anymore because I know I can see it coming. However, dual halberds is still a very threatening setup, and I think he can essentially clip me in a single attack now. So I gotta play it really safe. I managed to get him with the poison cloud again. He managed to put himself in it for me again, so that's very strong. Now I believe the only real way I can end this, seeing as he's waiting for me, is with a trade. I managed to clip him there. Very fortunate that he missed that running attack. But I have to trade again, which I do, and we both end up dying. GG on that as well. And Cryo's obviously very happy to see that. This next fight has Cryo fighting AZAEL again. Now, the thing about this fight is I'm not going to be very focused on it. The only reason I included it is because it shows off my arsenal, and it shows off my build on the right there. You can pause the video to get a longer look at it. I want you to be aware that I am still going to include the actual build at the end of the video most likely, or on the comments, depending on what I actually choose to do with it. But yeah, it ends with AZAEL trading with a blood flame and completely blowing out Cryo. Speaking of, here's me fighting, I believe this is AZAEL again. And he manages to hit me with his giant hunt that completely decimates my health on top of the frostbite. Tries to go for the spinach slash, but completely misses. I managed to clip him with a jumping attack and managed to poison him with it as well. Now, we both pressured each other a lot for this fight, and my only option here is to really mix him up and just melt him down, because one hit that I take from this point onward is going to kill me. If that had been a counter hit, in fact, I'd be dead. I try to go for the bestial sling mix up, I miss on the running attack as well, but it's not quite done yet. I'm still able to win, which I do with the running R2. My regen saved my ass there. GG AZAEL, that was a good fight as well. Here I am fighting, I believe this is Cryo again. And I am choosing to go for a bit of a less busted setup while he's using dual spears. Now you can probably predict how this ends. Dual spears is one of the strongest weapons in the game, strongest setups in the game, sorry. And the outcome is pretty obvious. But I still want to showcase that Great Stars with the Wild Strikes is able to apply a lot of pressure even against that. If that had hit, it would have hit for massive damage. The R2 follow-up from Wild Strikes is one of the highest motion values in the game, and usually hits for a lot of damage. Now, this is going to unfortunately end how the only way this can really end truly is by the dual spear setup coming out on top. Now, for the next fight, I believe, yeah, sorry AZAEL for leaving you in the dark there. For the next fight, this is Cryo against AZAEL again. I can't see it very well from this, but it appears that Cryo has hit a bit of a lag spike into the spinning slash. Very eloquent combo there. Manages to go for the spinning slash on the Ganage Kiba as well. it's a very strong weapon to weapon art combo because of the range and the damage and the combo that you can hit from Spinning Slash. I recommend trying it out if you haven't. I believe it was actually me who showed that to Cryo a while back. Not to take credit for that, of course. Now, AZAEL is running the Shield Bash with a katana. Now, Shield Bash is interesting. It will block anything that comes its way, provided you don't actually get backstabbed. Just want to say there, Cryo got fucking exploded there again. Now here's me running Storm Assault on the Cross Naginata, sorry. Unfortunately, I don't manage to hit it because Storm Assault is hard to hit if you don't land the first attack. Goes for the Unsheath there, unfortunately I'm kind of expecting it at this point. Then again, I'm not really hitting my Storm Assaults either. I'm keeping the Naginata with the Poison here because of that. Now on Spears, Poison Mist is really strong and I recommend trying the setup. It's, well, not dual spears, don't try dual spears, you're not going to get anywhere with me. But yeah, this can only really go one way. One of us is using dual spears, it ends in the most obvious way again. GG AZAEL, sorry to use that on you. I'm still using dual spears against Cryo this time. Interestingly enough, however, Cryo manages to fall for the Storm Assault right here. It ends up pancaking him in the ground there. He hits me with the Storm Collar with the which really threatens my health there. Unfortunately, I'm running dual spears, so that ends the way the dual spears go. For this, I'm using the Great Lance with Charge 4th, and Cryo is using the Godspeed Healer with Seppuku. Now, I'm expecting him to go for Seppuku mid-fight because he didn't go for it before we started. I know he's running Seppuku here because it is a bleed build and he actually told me about it before. Fool that he is. So I'm going to wait for him to throw out Seppuku so that I can throw out the Charge 4th. He throws it out here. Naturally, there's only one thing to go for. Get the massive damage there, and it ends very badly for him. Now, this is a no healing fight. I have a massive advantage. The only thing he can really do here is hope that I mess up. Unfortunately for him, I'm very good at this game. Not good enough to brag about it, like I am now, but good enough that I can know a good setup when I see it, and then there with the whip setup. GG Cryo, that was a good fight. Now here I am running dual bleed daggers with a parry. Unfortunately, parry on daggers is not a very strong option unless it's the parrying dagger, so I'm not going to manage to hit a parry in this fight at all. However, I could tell that he was really grossly underestimating my dual dagger setup. Because people don't use it a lot, people assume that it's a bad setup, I find, when in reality it really isn't. Now, the only problem right is the range. That running L1, however, ends in a poke, and if I manage to trade with him, I can get some interesting damage out of that. Unfortunately for me, the range is atrocious, and I managed to get clipped by the Warpick there, but I managed to roll the Bloodlust. I get him twice there, managed to pop the bleed here, and he's unfortunately trading too much with my R1s, which are dagger R1s, don't trade with that. Now here's the last fight. I'm running the Raptor's Black Feathers on Great Lance with Royal Knight Resolve as well as the Claw Talkman. Go for 1000 damage of a single jumping attack, gross setup that is, end up getting 2 pokes which decimates him. He manages to get the Morgoth Curse Sword weapon art on me. Unfortunately, it isn't enough and I am quickly pressuring him into death. So that was a very fun fight. Thank you to everybody that joined this little dueling session, and I hope you can send me your clips for the next time I make one. Hopefully I'll have more clips by then and I can make a commentary on more people's fights and invasions. So cheers guys, I'll be seeing you soon.